Missouri. I'm Melissa Ross. I teach government at Savannah High School, and it's time to vote. On August 6th, 2024, everyone in Missouri will be able to vote in a primary election. Now, a primary election doesn't mean that these are the people who are going to win positions. It means these are the people who want to represent each political party. We're going to vote in November for the actual position. But primary elections decide who's going to be the Republican candidate, who's going to be the Democratic candidate, and who'll be the Libertarian candidate. Now, Missouri has open primaries. An open primary means that all you have to do is go to the polling place, tell the poll worker if you are a Republican or a Democrat, and that poll worker will give you the appropriate ballot. Now, this doesn't have anything to do with the presidential election because we took care of that back in March. At least we thought we did. Now, I figure everybody knows about the big ones. U.S. Senator, U.S. Representative, Governor, Lieutenant Governor. It's the down ballot candidates, the ones that only represent Missouri, that are really kind of in question. A lot of people don't know what they do. The down ballot candidates that all Missourians will be voting for in August are the Secretary of State, the Treasurer, and the Attorney General. And they're all very important. I kind of think of the Secretary of State as they, them. You know, like when everybody says they or them. Typically, you can put the Secretary of State's name in there. For example, you want to start a business and you have to register with them, you register with the Secretary of State's office. Or when someone says they have to do something about these scams, the Secretary of State's office investigates that. Or when someone says they have a record of that somewhere, well, the Secretary of State's office probably does. If the people handling your investments are not reputable, they're a little shady. You report it to the Secretary of State, who then investigates the accusation. If the repo man is searching for a car or the banks need to foreclose on a mortgage, they have to start that process with the Secretary of State's office. Since 2007, the Secretary of State, through the Safe at Home program, provides a different address for victims of domestic violence, trafficking, or stalking to use so predators can't easily find them through government mail. And the Secretary of State works to protect vulnerable citizens from abuse and scams. All of the candidates who want to be elected into any office must first file with the Secretary of State. And it is the job of the Secretary of State to make sure the people know who they are voting for if the people want to know before the election. Actually, anything that is to go on the ballot is the responsibility of the Secretary of State's office because he or she is the one who is ultimately responsible for elections in Missouri. Election integrity has been a big issue since 2020, and I'm willing to bet that every Secretary of State in the country has been fielding a lot of questions about the 2024 election. Over 200 people work for the Secretary of State, and they cover everything from businesses to elections. They archive legislation, they archive court cases, executive orders, census records. Genealogy addicts love that one. Now, there are 8 Republicans, 3 Democrats, and 1 Libertarian running for Secretary of State in Missouri. February 27th was when they had to register with the Secretary of State's office to be on the ballot, and they will appear on the ballot in the order in which they registered, unless they registered on February 27th. If they registered on February 27th, they had to draw a number, and whichever number was the least, That's the number that got on the ballot first. Now, it's important to get on the ballot first because if people don't know what the Secretary of State does or what the Treasurer does or what the Attorney General does, typically they just vote for the name at the top of the list or the name that they've seen the most yard signs over or the most billboards. Name recognition is important. And if you don't have name recognition, you need ballot position. The Secretary of State does not prosecute the infractions that they find. They just investigate. Then they turn it over to the Attorney General. In the state of Missouri, there are 2 Republicans, 1 Democrat, and 1 Libertarian running for the Attorney General's office. So only the Republicans are really going to have a primary in that area because there's already only 1 candidate for the Democrats and the Libertarian. Mo.gov put it best when it wrote, "As the state's chief legal officer, the Attorney General must prosecute or defend all appeals to which the state is a party, including every felony criminal case which is appealed to the Missouri Supreme Court and the Court of Appeals." If the state of Missouri is sued because another state believes that laws or executive orders or whatever is infringing on their rights, or if another state is infringing on Missouri's rights, it is the Attorney General who will be taking that case to court and arguing in the best interest of Missouri. Recently, the Missouri Attorney General took the Biden administration to the Supreme Court because the Department of Health and Human Services updated an interpretation of a section of the Affordable Care Act to force states to pay for gender transitions. The Attorney General believed that was infringing on the rights of Missouri doctors and state taxpayers. So he sued, along with Arkansas, Idaho, Iowa, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Utah. Also, if the governor or a legislator has any questions of the legal persuasion, they'll ask the Attorney General. Because there's so much involved in the AG office, it's divided into litigation, consumer protection, governmental affairs, environmental protection, criminal appeals, governmental and financial entities, labor, and public safety divisions. Anyone asking to be elected into the Attorney General's office is asking for a huge responsibility. Finally, the Missouri Treasurer. The Missouri Treasurer has 6 Republicans, 1 Democrat, and 1 Libertarian running. So, again, the Republicans are the only ones that are going to have a primary because there's only 1 Democrat and only 1 Libertarian. The Treasurer is Missouri's Chief Financial Officer, or CFO. He or she maintains a separate accounting system to provide a check and balance on the state accounting system and distribute investment earnings to the proper funds. Basically, the Treasurer writes the checks to the local governments, bureaucracies, and organizations that have gotten grants or stipends from different laws and then balances the bank accounts. The Treasurer does not make sure those entities are spending the money properly. The auditor does that. He or she just makes sure that the money gets where it needs to be. When there's more money coming in than going out, the Treasurer safely invests the surplus money to maximize the possible interest with as little risk as possible to make more money for the state. He or she is responsible for any unclaimed property. Basically, the state's lost and found. As chairperson for the Missouri Higher Education Savings Program Board, the Treasurer oversees MOST 529, or MOST 529, which is a savings account for higher education. Funds from MOST 529 can be used to pay for eligible educational expenses at virtually any 2-year or 4-year colleges or universities, vocational, technical, professional schools across the country, as well as K-12 tuition. Individuals can participate in this program by going to the Mo Treasurer's website. Another savings program that's available, and the treasurer actively serves on the board, is Mo-Able, Moable, a plan that empowers Missourians living with disabilities and their families to serve and invest through tax-free savings accounts. People with special needs are given more independence and financial security through this program by providing a flexible, secure, and accessible way to save for their long-term needs. Besides these two boards, the treasurer serves on 3 other boards that deal with housing, debt, and retirement. It's your money. Yet another job that we the people are entrusted to fill with the most qualified candidate. This QR code will take you to a sample ballot on one of the coolest websites I've found called Ballotpedia. It'll give you the links to all the candidates' websites and social media pages. Well, Missouri, those are the 3 positions that are going to be primaried August 6th, 2024. Make good decisions and stay informed.